it's over before you even started, because you already told your mind that this is not going to work. So you got to change that. And the reason why I say you got to change it is because as you go through these steps, there's going to be days. There's going to be some days where things are hard. Things are overwhelming. You're not going to feel like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is too much. No, you have to go in this knowing that there's going to be a lot of work that is going to be required of you. You increase your input, your output changes. But if your input doesn't change, you will still get the same output. Think of it like a machine. Whatever goes in comes out. But if you want to change what comes out, you got to change what goes in. Guarantee you, most of you are probably wasting a lot of time. Stop the comparison. The moment that comes, no. It's an invalid comparison. Stop straight away. The moment that comes, kill it. If you want to be able to answer any exam questions, it comes from this. It literally comes just from doing one thing. Right, so there's about 2 months, 60 days before the GCSE and A-level exams begin. So I thought I would do a newer version of what you can do to be ready when those exams come and how you can start maximizing your grade to get those 9s and A stars, both for GCSE and A-level. So I've written the steps here and I'm just going to go through the steps and hopefully you'll be able to get some value from this. And if there's anything that you want to ask or anything that kind of bugs you, just put it down in the comments and I'll try my best to reply. Now, the first step is mindset. So just so that we are clear, before you do these steps, you want to do this in a chronological order. Don't try and skip the steps because it's not going to make sense and you're going to see it's not going to relate or connect as well. So I've written the steps in a way where you can do step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And if you do that in a chronological order, it will make more sense and you will see more improvement. Now, as I was saying, the first one is mindset. Now, what I mean by mindset is that, look, if you're going to go into your revision with the mindset that, oh my gosh, I've got too much pressure, I can't do this, and I'm going to fail, then you've already failed. You've already failed if you go in with that mindset. You need to change this. Now, I'm not talking about, thinking positively all the time and just trying to, have all this, positive, nice thoughts. No, that's not going to help. What I'm saying is, you should have an outlook of what you are about to do in a positive light and you are going to tackle it head on no matter what the challenges are coming at you. This is very important because if your mindset is not right from the beginning, all these other steps are going to be worthless. You're not going to be able to do it in the right way. So when I say change your mindset is you now need to go in this mode, in these next 2 months mode of, okay, this is me where I have to focus mode. This is going to be the focus mode. This is going to be me where I'm going to cut all my distractions and I'm going to go all in. And I'm not going to get distracted by noise. I'm not going to get distracted by friends. I'm not going to get distracted by comparisons. I'm not going to get distracted by things that's going outside in the world. These 2 months are going to be important for me and I'm going to go all in no matter what. This is the mindset you need to have. It's a mindset where there should be a level of focus and desire of what you want to achieve. You need to have that mindset of saying, okay, I am going to do whatever it takes now to make sure that this works. Now, regardless of whether I'm going to get the grade or not, that doesn't matter. You are changing your mindset for the next 2 months to say, I'm going to do whatever it takes so that I can get the grade that I need for me to go to the next step. So another simple way of looking at this is when you have these negative thoughts of like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure, I'm not going to do this well, this is too much pressure. Remove that. I know why you're thinking like this is because maybe your previous mocks have not gone well. Your previous exams have not gone well. So in your mind, you're thinking that because you got that C, because you got that D, because you failed, because you got that B, you think that that's the grade that you are at. But that is not true. That is not true. That is just an exam that you did that didn't go well. Okay, cool. Where did I go wrong? What can I do to improve? What can I do to make sure that this doesn't happen again? Don't use that as a baseline of where you are at and what you can achieve. Use that as a motivation to say, okay, I didn't get the grade that I want. And I'm going to use that as a way to now push myself so I can get the grade I want. I can get the A star. I can get the 9. Why can't I do that? You think you can't do it because on your previous results, but then maybe in the previous results, you didn't work as hard as you thought, or you didn't work as smart as you thought as you should have done, or you didn't work on the right things. This is all here. It's all belief. It's so important. Because whatever challenges that you're going to tackle in life, even with this, if your mindset is not in the right frame, if your mindset is not in that, in those right lenses, before you've already failed. It's over before you even started, because you already told your mind that this is not going to work. So you got to change that. And the reason why I say you got to change it is because as you go through these steps, there's going to be days. There's going to be some days where things are hard, things are overwhelming. But because your mindset was set very strongly, the foundations were there, those hard days you will overcome. You're not going to falter. You're not going to feel like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is too much. No, because you changed your mindset from the beginning. You said, this is the goal that I want to achieve, and I'm going to do whatever it takes. So even when things do get hard, I'm going to overcome it. So this is what I would say first. Change your mindset. And simple things that you can do, right? This is not something that you have to spend time on. This is the moment you get those negative voices, change it into, hold up, why am I thinking like this? Why am I thinking I can't do it? Shut up. You say that to your voice. No, I'm going to do it. Every time those negative voices come, those anxiety, those stress, you change that and say, actually, you know what? I can do it. Try that. Every time something, because the thing is, what we do as humans is we like to marinate in the negative voices. We like to marinate in, feeling bad, feeling like we're a failure. It's like an attraction, if that makes sense. It's like, Venom, if you've seen Venom in the movie, it's like the symbiote that just engulfs you and then you can't get out. But what you want to do is before the symbiote engulfs you, you literally change that. There's a barrier so that the symbiote doesn't get to you. So when that negative voice comes and says, oh my gosh, this is too much. Oh my gosh, I feel overwhelmed. You change those statements in your mind and say, actually, why am I thinking like that? This is wrong. I haven't done the work yet, so I can't say that. This is my mind trying to trick me. So you trick your mind again. You subconsciously tell your mind, no, I can do it. I can't change it. If it says you can't, change can't to can. If it comes and says impossible, change impossible to possible. If it says I won't do it, say I can do it. I will do it. You change the negative with positive. This is how I look at it. It's not just like sitting down and just, meditating and saying, oh, I'm going to be great. I'm going to do, yeah, okay, whatever. That's fine. But that doesn't really help, because it's when the negative voices come, that's when you need to tackle it. Not when the negative voices are not coming. Because when the negative voices are not coming, it's easy to be positive, right? When you're not going, when the anxiety and the stress is not coming at you, it's easy to be positive. But it's when those voices are coming in your head, that's when you tackle it. That's when you change. That's when you tweak those voices. Mindset is everything, right? Change that mindset. Where before you start this, every time you put yourself in this trance where, okay, every time there's a negative voice that's going to come, every time there's a doubt that's going to come, every time I feel inadequate, I'm going to quickly rectify that in my mind and change it. And if it means I have to write this down, write it down. So that every time it comes, you just open your book and read the counter effect of that negative voice of what you've written. And trust me when I say this, it will absolutely change your mindset. It will change your belief about yourself, because you will start going more towards the positive side and removing yourself away from the negative side. So that's step one, your mindset, what you're going to go into. Step two is work ethic. Okay, now, this is a thing, yeah? You can't achieve anything without putting the work in consistently on a day-to-day basis, week-by-week basis, month-by-month basis. It just doesn't work. If you're trying to go through the shortcuts to get the result through the shortcut, this is going to be very short-lived. You're not learning anything. You're taking the shortcut, which is weak. You have to go in this knowing that there's going to be a lot of work that is going to be required of you. Work ethic. Which means that, okay, if I have to sit down and study and do questions for hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, everyone is different, you sit down and you put it in. You don't build a body by just going to the gym 2 times a week, for example, or maybe like 2 times a day, or two times a week in a month. Like, you don't build your body by just going twice a month, for example. It doesn't work that way. It's consistent effort. Small, little, consistent effort that you do on a weekly basis, day-by-day basis, that compounds. That is what compounds. Not, oh, I'm going to just do a couple of hours of work and that's it, I'm going to rest and not work until next week. Come on. Really? It's common sense, right? Put the work ethic. I've said this to the students I teach maths as well. It's like, You're never going to achieve anything if you don't put the work in. It's like an input. If you put, a certain amount of input, you're only going to get a certain amount of output. If you want to get a certain amount of output, you need to change your input. So input could mean, okay, how many hours am I studying? Is it enough? It's not increase the hours. And when I say increase the hours, I don't mean just increase the hours for the sake of increasing the hours. Increase the hours, which is quality hours as well. You increase your input, your output changes. But if your input doesn't change, you will still get the same output. Think of it like a machine. Whatever goes in, comes out. But if you want to change what comes out, you got to change what goes in. Stop, people do this, right? They say, this is difficult, it's too much. It's like, well, what did you expect? It is going to be a lot. And I can understand that and I can sympathize with you. But look, life is not going to be easy. You have to work hard to get what you want. And sometimes that just means sitting down and doing the work. Now, if you don't know or you have no idea of how to do that, again, I've said this so many times in my other videos, start with a simple timetable. Monday, I'm going to do 2 hours. Tuesday, I'm going to do 2 hours. Wednesday, I'm going to do 2 hours. Thursday, I'm going to do 2 hours. Friday, I'm going to do 2 hours. Saturday, I'm going to have my day off. Or Saturday, I'm going to do 2 or 3 hours or maybe 4 hours. And then Sunday, I have my day off. If you can't start with 2 hours, start with 1 hour and then build it up. But you have to also understand time is very limited here at the moment. You don't have much time. So this is the time where you have to go in. But even if you can't, start small and build it up and stay consistent. Work ethic is not just sitting down and working. Work ethic is sitting down and working on a consistent basis, and then that compounds. You can't expect to get the grade. You can't expect to understand topics. You can't expect to master exam questions if you don't put consistent work. Which means that you now have to look at yourself and say, okay, how much work am I doing? And how much am I playing on the outside? How much time am I wasting? I guarantee you, most of you are probably wasting a lot of time. And you don't even know the time that you're wasting on. Could be just simple things. Work ethic means, okay, now I've changed my mindset. Cool. Now I'm going to sit down and work 2 hours every day. Whatever, maths on 2 hours on Monday, chemistry Tuesday, Wednesday. You can pick and choose. That is your choice. But the point of work ethic is you sit down and you do the work. Stop looking at videos to try and make yourself feel better about, okay, let me just watch this video so I can get in the mindset. No. You get in with it. You just start. Stop procrastinating. Stop thinking, oh, you know what? I need to have the right conditions, the perfect environment. Listen, I get that to a certain extent, but if you keep thinking in your mind that everything has to be perfect, if you keep thinking in your mind that you have to have everything right, you're never going to start. And if you're never going to start, you're never going to get anywhere. You got to start. The hard bit is starting. Once you start, I guarantee you this, because even my students are doing this. Once you start, it's easy. It gets easy after the first half an hour. The first 15 minutes is a bit difficult to get into it, right? But once you get into it, it's easy from there. The starting is the hard bit. You still have time. You still have time, right? But you got to sit down and work. You got to sit down and put the focus in. You got to sit down and make it a consistent habit for the next 2 months. You got nothing to lose. But you can't blame other people. You can't blame something when things don't go your way if you haven't done your end of your bargain, if you haven't put the work on your side. Yes, okay, you're watching YouTube, you're watching social media, how to work more productively, how to do it. Listen, this is, I might get some stick for this. I don't give a damn, right? For me, the way I look at it is very simple. You sit down and you get on with the work. All this, productivity, you do these little methods or whatever. Listen, I get that to a certain extent, but that's not going to change your mind. That's not going to help your mind to sit down and do the work. That's just a thing that you can just procrastinate over. If you really want something, you would do it, right? Think about it like this. An example, for example, right? This is an example I look at. If you need to go to the toilet, are you going to procrastinate to go to the toilet? Right? If you really need to go to the toilet, are you going to procrastinate? Let me think. I need to sit down in the toilet seat in the right way. And you're not going to do it. You're just going to do it, right? Because it needs to come out. So that's the level of desire that should also be there. I'm not saying that the studies and everything is important, but that's the level of focus that you want. Okay, I need to just get on with it. And you'll realize this, right? I'm telling you this will happen. As you do things, you will start being able to fit the puzzles of how things work for you and how things doesn't work for you. You'll be able to start to see, okay, I've tried it this way, this doesn't work. Okay, I know what it will work, but you have to sit down and do the work. And that is, everyone is different. Everyone's way of working is different. Your way is unique. So this is the thing sometimes I don't like on social, is like, by putting this, okay, how to study smartly or whatever, right? Which is okay, I get that to a certain extent, but it's like, not that those techniques are not going to work for everyone. But for you to know what works for you is in a way that you have to sit down and do it yourself, and you'll figure that out as you do it. Work ethic is everything. I'm sorry, like, I don't want to sound harsh and everything, but work ethic is everything. Sit down, get on with it, and just start, right? Put a timetable and say, this is what you're going to do. And then just stick with it. And trust me, like, as you do this, it gets easier. The beginning is hard, but as you go through it, as you do it week on week, like on a week on week basis, it gets easier because you get accustomed to it. It becomes a habit to the point that then, like, okay, when you haven't done a day, you're like, oh my gosh, I actually didn't study for an hour or two. Like, I feel a bit bad. I feel guilty. I need to study. It's very easy. It's like, this is what happens when you just start. So that's the step 2, work ethic. The third step is, focus. Yeah. The third step is to focus on topics and questions that you struggle with. So look, it's easy to focus on your strongest subjects, yeah, or your strongest topics, or the strongest, like, things that you're good at, because it makes you feel good. Like, of course, it makes you feel good. Like, when you know something and you know how to answer, it makes you feel good and it adds to your confidence and, you could say ego. But listen, if you want to get those A stars and the 9s, focusing just on your strongest topics or questions is not going to help. You need to focus on the weakest questions, the weakest topics that you struggle with. That's where the difference is going to be for you to get those grades. So you need to get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable in doing the things that you struggle with. In this case, it's the topics. In this case, it could be the subjects. In this case, it could be those questions that you normally struggle with. Tackle those first. Don't go for the strongest ones. If you know something already, why are you doing it again? You know it. It's a waste of time. It's just something to add to your ego. But other than that, you're not really gaining anything out of it. It's a lie. Because you think that by doing these questions that you know, oh yeah, I know how to do it. It makes me feel good. And you think you know, you think you've kind of mastered it. You haven't, because you're removing yourself away from the weakest topics. List down, okay, for example, if it's maths or biology, chemistry, list down the topics you struggle with and start with that first. When you do your timetable, you start with those weakest topics and you go head on. It is going to be uncomfortable. I understand. It's not going to feel nice. I can sympathize. But if you want to get the grade, remember mindset. Remember what we said at the beginning? See how it all connects? The mindset is, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this work, which means I'm going to do the things that makes me feel uncomfortable first. Because by me doing the things that makes me feel uncomfortable first is what's going to allow me to overcome those challenges and make me better, sharper, and wiser in the things I struggle. That's what I was saying. Mindset is important. If you don't start with the right mindset, you're not going to do this. List it down. What's my weakest topics? What's my weakest subjects? Tackle those first. Don't focus on the strongest one. There's a reason why they're your strongest ones. It's because you know it. You don't need to spend much time in it. It's like me, right? Like when I'm teaching the students maths, most of the topics are easy for me. But that's why I don't spend much time now. I don't really spend much time like going through it because it just comes from the top of my head. So for me, it's like, why am I going to spend time on things that I already know? It's a waste of my time. It's not efficient. I'm looking at efficiency. And you want to look at efficiency as well for yourself. If you are able to tackle those things first, the ones that you struggle with, the things that makes you feel uncomfortable, I guarantee you, it will change and literally it will just harden your character. It will improve your character. It will improve your resolve as an individual when hard things come your way. I can pretty much guarantee, just from my own personal experiences and just from the experience I've seen when I was teaching the kids and seeing them improve. Change that first. Yeah, focus on those topics and focus on the things that you struggle with, and then go to your strongest topics. You don't even need to really focus on the strongest topics if you already know how to do it. Focus on that and trust that. I guarantee you that will change the way you see, the way you're going to improve will go just really up, because what you're weak at here, if you're able to master that change, the delta of, where it was before to where it is now, is going to make a huge change to your overall confidence and self-belief of the topic itself or the subject, because that is what was bringing the overall thing down. Now you're tackling that head on, and that delta is just going to change. It's going to be huge. The fourth step is you need to stop comparing yourself to other people. This is something that it's like, there's a saying, I think it's a saying, but comparison is a thief of joy. Let that sit with you for a while. Comparison is a thief of joy. When you're doing work and you're doing well and you feel like you're on a momentum, you're doing good, by the way, fantastic. But the moment you start comparing your progress or your overall grade or whatever it is that you're comparing with someone else who's doing better than you, this is where you feel bad. This is where you feel like you're inadequate. This is where you feel that you're dumb, stupid. But it's not the comparison that makes you feel like that. You know what actually makes you feel like that? It's the judgment that you put on the comparison. Because we can compare anything, right? You can compare anything with anything. But it's the meaning behind the comparison that brings you down. And most of us, I just think genetically as humans, when we compare someone with someone that's doing better than us, it makes us feel bad because we see someone who's doing better than us, and then we look at our situation and we're not good enough, or we feel that we're not good enough because we place a judgment on that comparison. You got to stop that. If someone or your friends are asking you, oh, how many hours of sessions or what you doing, whatever, what if they're asking you that, you don't need to share. You don't need to ask what they're doing. The person you need to compare yourself with is you, is no one else. If you know that you are on a C or a B or a D and you want to get an A star, you need to compare yourself to the person that was on that grade at the beginning, the C's and D's. That's your comparison. And from there, you look at, okay, how far have I come? Not comparing yourself with the person that's already on an A star, or the person that's already on a 9, or the person that's already on an 8. That's an invalid comparison. It's apples and oranges. It's an invalid comparison, because also you have to understand that person has a different environment. The way they work and the way they study is very different to you. There's a lot of things that's different. So it's not a like for like comparison. And the problem that a lot of people struggle with is that when they compare, they just feel so down. And then that's what brings everything that they've worked for, like literally back to zero, because they just feel like they're not good enough. But you have to remove yourself thinking that you're not good enough, because you're doing an invalid, wrong comparison. But I'm sure if you compare yourself with the person that you were when you started this, you will see the improvement going like this. And if you see the improvements going like this, that's all you need. You don't need anything else. You don't need anyone else. If you're going in the right track, okay, I was on a C and now I'm on a B and I'm getting to an A, isn't that what you want? So why look at someone else who's getting an A star? Because that is naturally what we do. You got to cut that. Remember what I said at the beginning? Mindset. This comes under mindset as well. Stop the comparison. The moment that comes, no. It's an invalid comparison. Stop straight away. The moment that comes, kill it. Take it out of your mind, because I do this as well. The moment I start stop. They're not me. I'm not them. So why am I comparing myself with them? No. Invalid. Stop. Okay, let me see where I was before I started. Oh, I was here. Now I'm here. Okay, that's good. That's what I want. That's what I want to hear. Those are the facts. Okay, let me keep going. Focus on you. Focus on the work that needs to be done. Focus on the things that you struggle with, and focus on your timetable and the things that you need to get done. Don't look at what anyone else is doing. If someone comes to you and say, oh, I got an A star, or I've done 10 hours of revision, just say, well done. Good. Okay, that's nice. Because you're going to have these kind of people, these snakes, I call it, right? Like, they're just kind of like, they love to just share that, just to kind of rub it in. And, I kind of said this to my students. I think, so you could do this if you want, but what I tell them to do is, or advise them to do sometimes, just to rub it back in their face and say, oh, you done 10 hours. Well done. That's great. I've only done 5, or I've only done 2 hours. And that's it. Just leave it like that. I've already done 2 hours. You know why? Because that means in their mind, they think you're not working. And sometimes that's better. It's better like that. It's better to be the underdog. And let them think that you're not working. Let them think that they're above you. That's fine. Cool. You do what you got to do. That's fine. I don't care. I need to focus on me. I don't give a shit about what everyone else is doing. I need to focus on me. Unless it's something that's critical that I need to change. Most of the time, I don't need to look at what anyone else is doing. I just need to focus on myself, and that's it. So that's step 4. Stop comparing yourself with other people. Trust me, it will help your confidence. It will help your self-belief, and it will help you to feel good when you got momentum. Because as you get momentum, you want to keep that momentum going up. So you want to be at a stage where you don't want that comparison that you're doing to downgrade your momentum, to bring that momentum down that you've been building all this time, which is why you protect yourself. Anytime these thoughts are coming, doubts are coming, and you look at another person, you quickly say, stop. No, I'm not comparing. Invalid. Straight away. And then I guarantee you'll feel better about yourself. Your confidence increases. Your momentum keeps going up, and you're just going to keep killing it. The 5th step is exam questions. Now, if you want to be able to answer any exam questions, it comes from this. It literally comes just from doing one thing. And that is doing as many different types of exam questions as possible. That doesn't mean you do repetition. What I'm saying is you expose yourself to different types of exam questions. So that could even mean doing exam questions from different boards. If you've finished, for example, your whole Edexcel, OCR, AQA, you can do exam questions from different boards because it's only going to expose you of a topic that is being asked in maybe different ways that you have not been exposed to. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of students and people make the mistake that they just do the exam questions again and they repeat it, and they think that when they get it right again, that I'm getting it. Careful, because subconsciously you probably don't even know you're doing this. You're probably remembering the answer for this exam question when you did it the first time or second time, and you're just rewriting that again. Now, the reason why that's a problem is because you're reciting that from memory. Now, if I come at you and say, okay, I'm going to ask you that question in a different way, how would you go about answering that? This is why don't try and do exam questions based on your memory. Go and do exam questions based on, okay, I've never done this before. How am I going to solve this? How am I going to think about answering this exam question? What are the steps I'm going to do? This is why you want to expose yourself to as many different exam questions you're doing. And of course, you want to do this once you understand the topic. Like, don't go straight into an exam questions if you haven't done the topic, because that's a waste of time. So this is obviously based on if you finish the topic and you've understood it to an extent, and then now you're tackling the exam questions. But what you want to do is you got to make sure that you have, it's like, what's a good analogy? It's like in food, you have different spices, right? You try different spices with different flavors. Like you just have different combinations of spices. That's what you want to do with exam questions. Have different spices of exam questions. Let yourself get exposed to a harder question, or a question that's been asked this way or this way, that way. Because what that does and what that would do to your mind is, now you'll be able to see the different variety of exam questions that you could be, that could be asked of you. But because you've been practicing and you've been exposing yourself to so many different types, when they now ask you a new exam question, you're going to somehow see some sort of pattern based on all of that exposure you had. Don't just stick with one exam paper, or a couple of exam papers, and then just repeat that. You're not learning anything, because you've already done it, and you're okay. Especially now when you made the mistake, but now you've rectified the mistake, so you know what the actual correct answer is. There's no point of redoing that again. You could do that once or twice, fine, but then when you're doing it again, it's like you already know it, so why are you doing it again? Now you should expose yourself to a different type of exam question, because when you do that, this is where your brain works. So I hope that you've been able to get something from this video. And listen, I'm not trying to bring you guys down. I'm not trying to say that you can't do it. All I'm trying to say is tell you the truth. Tell you what needs to be done, how you need to look at this in the lenses that you want to have, and just go and do the best. Because the worst thing is that you do your exam and you get the results and you don't get the results that you need, but in your heart of your heart, you know that you could have put more work and you didn't. that's a regret on you. Not your parents, not your family, not your teachers, on you. And you have to carry that. No one else. If you do the work and you stay consistent at it and you still don't get the grade, respect. Because there's no regret there. Because you know in your heart of your heart, you've done the work, you've put it in. So even if you don't get that A star, or you get an A, or you don't get that A, you get B, but you know you've put the work in, you'll feel this. Like, you're not going to feel any regret at all. Because you know you've done the work. You know you've put the time, the consistency, the work ethic, the mindset, all of these things you've put and you've done. But if you haven't done it and you get the results and it's not the results that you want, you'll also feel that. Because you know you could have put more work and you didn't. Everything starts from zero. When are you going to start? Peace.